What's going on, everybody? Mortem here, this time bringing you a look at Pragmata, an upcoming sort of action puzzly type of game where we play a guy named Hugh as well as an android little girl named Diana. So this is actually one of the games that was shown off at the recent Game Awards ceremony, and the reason that I'm covering it is because we learned there that there was a demo available on Steam that I wanted to check out just because I kind of thought some of this looked a little novel, since the game is releasing not too terribly long from now in April of 2026. And so I decided to, when I had a chance, check out this demo to kind of see what I thought of the game itself, which is obviously what we're doing here, but I suppose that's as good a place as any to start with like the main thing I wanted to talk about in this video, which is that while this game does have some stuff going for it, and we're going to talk about that relatively soon, things like the combat, the hacking minigame that you do mid-combat, the sort of chess puzzle-like combat system in some ways, but I just had to mention what this game does visually, because I'm not sure how much of it is intentional and how much of it is just like a consequence of the way it looks, because something about this game is just like viscerally upsetting to look at for me. And the part of it that I think is almost certainly intentional is the way Diana looks. So Diana, the little girl, is an android. I think she is intended to sort of hit that uncanny valley to make you realize that what you're looking at isn't exactly human. And yet, the more I kind of walked around and played this game a little bit in like the short little demo area, which is like maybe 30, 45 minutes, give or take, the rest of the art and like the way you interact and move through this space also seems like weirdly alien in some sense, and I think at least a little bit of that might also be intentional simply because it's clearly meant for like these robot type enemies that you're fighting throughout the experience rather than somebody who's human. If anything, you're kind of, as a human, the odd one out here, it would seem. And if the intention was to create a space that didn't seem like it was designed for human beings to be walking through, then I think they did a really good job, because everything about like just the way this game looks feels some level of wrong to me. And while that does make a certainly unique artistic direction, it also kind of makes me just not want to play it. But let's put my strange feelings of disgust aside for a moment and instead talk about what the rest of this game is. So my understanding of what is going on here story-wise is that we play a guy named Hugh Williams who works for a company called Delphi, and they seem to be operating some sort of research station on the moon. Our character is sent there to investigate some sort of abnormality before things go wrong, and you stumble across this childlike android named Diana who's going to help you through everything we're trying to do here, which at first, and what the demo comprises of, is trying to contact Earth for help. So it seems like the story is you guys simply trying to get out of that situation overall. Now, what that means for gameplay, though, is mostly that we're going to be shooting our way out of things. However, Diana, the primary thing she does is hack our enemies. Hacking them can slow them down, damage or immobilize them. There's some other mechanics tied to it, and then we're going to use our weapons to unload on said enemies. Now, I already know that the demo does not show us everything, like every weapon type and the like. There's an element of this that uses like a checkpoint system of sorts. Throughout the level that we had access to, you can find these little stations that you'll hack with Diana, and then they become places that you are supposed to be able to access something known as shelter, which is where you're going to regenerate all your health, your healing resources, and can also jump in and have conversations with Diana at this place. Now, this hacking mechanic seems central to both exploration and the combat itself. Exploration-wise, you use it to just solve little mini-games, which can do things like open doors, activate platforms. There does seem to be an element of like minor 3D platforming where our suit has little rocket boosters in that will allow us to like float, and we gotta jump around and utilize these platforms and stuff to navigate this space station that once again does not really seem like it was intended for humans to be traipsing around in. Now, most of the hacking minigames for this type of stuff is relatively simple. You just bring up the hacking menu and move some things around to navigate them the way you need them to, but the real show, of course, is combat when it comes to that, because combat is interesting in the sense that it's relatively slow, but it looks like much of the challenge is going to be that it tries to split your attention in a lot of different places. Against one enemy, this is just really simple. You get close enough to activate the hacking minigame, move the cursor to the designated point, stuns the enemy, and you can shoot them accordingly, and you can dodge out of the way of their attacks. But the problem is when there are multiple enemies, especially different multiple types of enemies, such as these little flying drone guys, the slower but persistent walking types, and then the larger enemies that you'll have to dodge around who do these big AoE attacks. The trick being that you then have to hack while also trying to avoid all these guys, because hacking does not typically stun them. And you need to hack them before you're going to do any substantial amount of damage, and so combat does have this sort of like puzzle aspect to it of trying to navigate which enemies to hack, when to move, the order in which you want to take down enemies to, of course, maximize your own effectiveness by not having to constantly micromanage what every single enemy around you is doing, and that is where a couple of the different weapon types come in. At a base, you seem to get this pistol that recharges every couple of seconds with ammo that you expend. There is a shotgun type weapon that was particularly effective, and then you even get like a net gun at the end, and then once you beat the demo, you actually get access to one last weapon, but that's neither here nor there. But at least as far as this demo is concerned, outside of a big boss fight at the end, which also lets you do moves like stunning enemies or eventually getting access to the overdrive mode for her hacking ability, which is basically what it sounds like. It's just more effective hacking that allows you to immobilize and stun enemies more effectively, that kind of thing. Pretty much what you'd expect from any sort of ultimate type ability that tends to be in these games, but otherwise that seems to be it. I mean, there may well be more stuff in the full release, but here at least it's mostly just these exploration aspects mixed with the novelty of the hacking and the combat system. And I suppose if I were looking at this as a total picture in April, trying to see if I wanted to buy it, I'd probably be thinking about whether or not those aspects are enough to carry the entirety of the experience, or is that the kind of thing that's going to get old in a couple of hours of something that's going to run like 20, as an example. So from having played this demo, there are some ups and some downs. I think just the way they did the art for some reason is really like hanging me up for some reason. That's not normally something I have a problem with, but it's just really weird here. And so, truth be told, I have no idea if I'm going to wind up reviewing this in April. Maybe if I'm not busy and they send me a review key, I'll check it out for other people's sake, because it is like $60. But as of right now, I'm just not sure I could see myself playing this one in full, but at least for today, that's pretty much going to do it. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, by all means, like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube jazz. Let me know how you feel about this one down in the comment section below. But as always, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. May you wander in wisdom and have an amazing day.